discussion about a podcast with Wojciech Zaremba and Lex Friedman. It's very, very important. Wojciech is leading the robotics effort at OpenAI. He's an absolutely amazing specialist when it comes to deep learning, reinforcement learning, and AI and the application to robotics. He's talking about self-driving cars. He's talking about Tesla. I want to share his thoughts, and I want to build on the thesis that we developed after the AI day, which is that Tesla is going to morph into a simulated video company to enable self-learn, so the car can, through self-supervised reinforcement learning, self-learn how to navigate in the real world. This is a long-term step. We believe this is where things will go, and doesn't mean that in the meantime what's happening is useless, but we believe that this is sort of the mid to long-term future for AI, robotics, and in particular Tesla and self-driving cars. This is not the In Wrong podcast. It's August 31st, 2021. This is Krim Delco. For the day, the fund is up 2.45%. The market's down 15 basis points. For the year, we are up 13.3%. The market is up 20.6%. We are underperforming by 7.3%. So Wojciech Zaremba is a leading researcher at AI. I don't know him personally. I haven't spoken to him or read about him too much. He is leading the robotics effort at OpenAI, and I would consider him a very accomplished specialist in the application of neural networks in general, and in particular reinforcement learning to robotics. This is he said that himself, and I think what's really important in this interview with Lex Friedman, shout out to Lex Friedman and his podcast. In this interview, he talks about how to evolve robots from specialized task performers into more general task performers. And he says one important thing. He thinks, now, Lex asks him the question, if a company, a robotics company, achieves $1 trillion market capitalization, what do you think they will do? And his answer is, I believe it's going to be a self-driving car company. And he says, because self-driving cars are fundamentally in the business of avoiding obstacles, and they don't have to do things like touch things, carry things from A to B. So avoiding is in that sense easier, because at least you don't have the fine motor skills necessary for the touching. Now, of course, having said that, we already know that Tesla is actually going also into the fine motor skills business with the humanoid robot, and we spoke about that. But let's get back to the self-driving car problem. The self-driving car problem is a self-supervised reinforcement learning problem, according to Wojciech, and we also share that belief. We spoke about this. Ashok, in the planning section of the AI Day at Tesla, spoke about this also, that this is sort of a goal. Right now, that's not what Tesla is doing, but we believe, Tesla believes, Wojciech believes that this is where it's going. So let me give the roadmap of where we are today and where we believe things will be heading towards. So today, we are at a point where we use, and I'm talking about Tesla now, computer vision and purely camera-based computer vision based on convolutional neural networks in order to recognize objects and build a model of the world so the car can understand where it stands right now. It is a static model and a dynamic model where also time is involved, and you can go from time 0 to time 1. The model can predict where it's going to go, etc. The question now is the planning question, which we believe will become the holy grail of self-driving cars, because the way you plan is really the way you drive. And in terms of driving, you can approach it right now. Tesla is approaching it by having human drivers drive around and having the model learn how to behave in the real world based on human drivers. However, in the AI Day of August 19th, Tesla has mentioned the concept of simulation. And I believe the reason simulation is becoming more important is because of the potential of self-learning. And this is now also what Wojciech is saying. Wojciech is saying that right now we don't have the ability to self-learn when it comes to objects, physical robots reacting in the real physical world. However, we believe, and that's also what Wojciech is saying, that over time, video simulation and let's say models like DALL.E, I will explain what DALL.E is, are going towards a world where we have better video simulation. And once we have better video simulation that can simulate the real world, we can then self-learn and then use that to actually drive around. So this is a long-term vision that Wojciech has laid down for any kind of robot interacting in the physical reality, including robots that have to touch things and stuff like that. And I think that that's also where Tesla is going. So what we said also a few days ago is that we believe that Tesla eventually probably will become a simulation company, because simulating the environment and then self-learning using self-supervised reinforcement learning, in our view, is going to be the holy grail of self-driving cars and robotics. And we believe that Tesla will have to jump on that bandwagon, because it's a better solution, and you have to start building an innovation stack now in order to succeed in the future. If Tesla for some reason believes that what they have right now is good enough, they run the risk of being disrupted by somebody who does it through video simulation and self-supervised reinforcement learning. So we believe that this is a very important inflection point in Tesla's history, that they have to jump on this bandwagon and start building an innovation stack around video simulation and self-supervised reinforcement learning through self-learning and learning how to drive the car in that sense. Now, when I say what is video simulation, what I'm trying to say here is that we don't have good enough simulation data right now in terms of just good enough simulation. Is the road icy, how slippery? All these things are incredibly complicated, and there are companies out there that use physics, for example, to simulate physics, and there's a lot of work being done in the industrial world to have a grasp of physics and try to put it in the virtual world and try to help companies build products around physics problems without having to build prototypes and all that. So there is an industry already trying to simulate physics into the virtual world and trying to help companies simulate and build products on simulation. But we believe that this is a whole new step when we talk about video simulation. And now I want to introduce DALL.E. DALL.E is a sort of a GPT-3 type model that helps what GPT-3 is doing for text, DALL.E is trying to do for pictures. And in that sense, we could, for example, put a video of an icy road in Alaska and then have DALL.E continue with a very realistic simulation of what an icy road in Alaska actually looks like. And once we have that kind of model, so we have a model of the world built within the animated video, then we can self-learn how to drive. So these are two steps that need to happen. And in that sense, we believe that like many times in technology, in the history of technology, in the history of innovation, you need certain vectors to be given so you can then build on top of them. The innovation stack has to be built around video simulation. DALL.E is a potential. I'm not saying this is the holy grail. Maybe we need better models, maybe different approaches, but we need something where we can build video simulation, and then we can use those simulations for self-driving and self-learning through self-supervised reinforcement learning to learn how to drive. This is the way we see it. This is the way Wojciech sees. We believe this is a crucial step in Tesla's history. Again, important not just because we believe it's going to work and build that self-driving car that Elon Musk is talking about, but we believe that it is also important for Tesla to not be disrupted by somebody else who will use this technology. And we believe Tesla right now is best suited to do that. So in that sense, we believe Tesla is more like Disney. When Disney started with cartoons and then the TV came and the color TV and the cinema, Disney was always able to innovate with those technologies and be at the forefront of things even today. Then they bought Pixar in the 90s and so on and so forth. We believe that Tesla hopefully is going to be a company along those lines. And also Apple used to be like that. Now Apple unfortunately has lost a little bit of its mojo, if you wish. But we believe that Tesla again should be able to jump on this bandwagon and continue as a video simulating company in order to enable self-supervised reinforcement learning to solve the planning problem of driving and therefore become a real full self-driving company. So to summarize, we discussed an interview with Wojciech Zaremba, who is a researcher at OpenAI. And I'm sorry if I butchered his name. Let me just double check, make sure I'm not butchering his name. So Wojciech is a leading researcher at OpenAI. OpenAI is, yes, Zaremba is fine. OpenAI is a very cutting edge research group based in San Francisco. Elon Musk was a founder, now he's out of it. But what they're doing is trying to really push the envelope when it comes to AI. And Wojciech is actually leading the robotics effort. And the robotics effort, according to Wojciech, right now is still very rudimentary because we cannot use self-supervised reinforcement learning in the real world because we don't have the data. So we have to figure out a way to do it in an animated video world. And for that, we have to build animated video animation. We have to actually evolve an innovation stack around video animation. And that DALL-E is one of the examples. DALL-E is a sort of a GPT-3 type model that is doing what GPT-3 is doing for text. DALL-E is doing it for video. So once we have that, we can then use the video to actually evolve the planning problem through self-supervised reinforcement learning and therefore really build a much better self-driving car. So the key here is to have an innovation stack around video animation. I use the example of the icy road in Alaska. We want to have a real icy road in Alaska, maybe a picture or a short video of it, and then we want to have the model build a whole animation around that icy road in Alaska. We want to have very likely scenarios of pedestrians and reindeer and all that kind of stuff happening, so the car can learn how to through self-supervised reinforcement learning, learn how to drive millions and millions of miles on that icy road until it gets so much better than anybody else. So we have the necessity to build an innovation stack around video animation and then around self-supervised reinforcement learning. And this is the key. This is the key. This is the gist of this particular episode. And we believe that this is a very, very important inflection point in the history of Tesla, in the history of self-driving cars. And we will definitely keep an eye on this. Thank you.